Okay, so let's take a look at how you can create Azure database for MySQL instance and then use that instance to connect to my local TablePlus setup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect to Azure portal. Now here we have services option, and within services I'm going to find database, right? Let's click on database, and here you will have Azure database for MySQL server. Previously it has this single server, flexible server, and enterprise option. Now we only have flexible server as option. So let's go there. Currently I have one instance running, but I will show you the process to create that instance. So click on create, and then we can see here we have only flexible server option. The stack based option, as you can see, WordPress plus MySQL won't be the right fit for testing, so I will use flexible server. Click on create, and here you may notice that we have to take a look at two options, one being configuration, and immediately the cost would reflect to the right. So starting with subscription, then resource group, right? Then we have server name. Make sure to have some decent name because it will be telling you what to do and not to in suggestion. Then you have region, which is East US, Australia, Asia, etc. Now apart from that, you also have MySQL version. Currently you can see 5.7 is the version. In near future that could go to 8, right? And there is workload, where you have this testing option, development, hobby project, or enterprise, or small business. So I will go with the development and hobby project option. Then comes compute and storage. You can configure this, right, and choose the instance that you want. I am sticking with the 1 core or 2 core and 20 GB of space. If you want higher, you can select that. Once you select that, you can return back to your server by saving this configuration. You will find the cost associated here. In my case it is INR, but in your case it could be USD or your local currency, right? Then we have authentication method. There is MySQL authentication, Azure, and mix of both MySQL and Azure Active Directory. Make sure to use username of your choice and password, and then click review and create. Once you do everything through this page, you will have instance that looks like the one I created here. So I named my instance MySQL DevDB, right? So if I click on it, as you can see, it will be shown up here like this, right? So first thing would be make sure that it is running, right, and it is not showing the start button, right? As you can see, my server is running. I have server name listed here, which I can copy with my login name, which I can copy here. Okay, then there is networking setting that I can enable disable, where I'm going to choose firewall rule for my IP address. I added that. Then choose the public connectivity, save those network settings, and come out for overview, right? We need to stick to this page for any details that we need for our TablePlus. So let's say TablePlus we have looks like this. If we go to home page, right, make sure to download the setup. It has free version and also the paid tier. So TablePlus is like your DBWare or Azure Data Studio, allows connectivity to the local and cloud-based databases, right? So I'm going to use this to connect to my MySQL server hosted on Azure, right? So let's go. I already downloaded this. Let me run the setup for you. So it will go with the default setup. I accept the agreement. It's in C drive, and there we go. So this tool is available for Mac as well. Then they have Windows setup as well, right? So we are on Windows right now. So it should take a second or two more for installation. Now things we need to get it from here. The password part I will get to later, right? So we have TablePlus properly set up, right? As you can see, we can now launch the TablePlus, right? So let me have this shortcut here. Now here you can see multiple ways to do the connection through clicking on this plus button, right? So I will click on plus, or I can right click here and then say new connection here. As you can see, I have plenty of options here. Like I have MySQL is what I need, so I will select that. Now let's name this MySQL for Azure. Let's add host because that is our server name. Port 3306, always for MySQL. Then user, this is the user. Then we have to add the password. So let me, now that I added password, I don't want to select the database, but I want to test the connection. And as you can see, TablePlus says connection is okay, so we are connected, right? Now we can also give it a color, right? So let's pick color for it and something like, let's say red. Okay, now we tested, we can save this connection and it will be available here. Now to access the database, I will double click on this and it is connected. Let's go full screen. Right, now no database is selected, so we can use control and key. Here we can see we have one database called sample, so open that, and as you can see it has employee table. If I click on it, immediately in the result it will be shown. So the design mindset of the developers of TablePlus, you can see, is kind of from Mac world. So for simple things, they get them done without having to point to a user to take the action. For example, just clicking on the table shows me the result of table, so saves me from making a query, right? So like this, if I want to do something like say add row, I will right click on this view, click add row. I will just use the data that I can, right? So then add some values, and if I want to commit the result, let's see how to commit the result. Most probably would be, there must be commit op, and here you see commit your changes option, control S, and my changes are appended, and as you can see changes final in table. So like this I can work around my database. I can edit, delete, create. I can also create a new table or import anything I want from CSV, SQL dump. right? There is new table option, new view option, procedure, material view, and grouping of tables. So we managed to connect our MySQL server on Azure to this particular TablePlus admin tool. So like this, you can connect to a variety of tools and not just this particular one. It's all up to you. There are some changes, and sometimes you need a JDBC driver or maybe ODBC driver, but most of the time these applications do that for you. So do pay attention to those things as well.